All right. Let's see. I think quite a few of you have answered our next question already, but are there any things that you didn't already cover that you did differently to prepare for the finals versus your kind of preparation methods for the regional rounds? And if you've already covered it, feel free not to answer this one.
I just remembered this. This isn't necessarily something I do differently between the regional and national rounds, although obviously before finals, I'm a little more anxious and I'd like to shore up my knowledge in this area. But even like reviewing um, basic Braille symbols, I know type form indicators tripped me up for a while, but using online resources other than the Braille Challenge practice test to shore up your Braille knowledge. Right now, let me actually put this in the chat to everyone real quick. This particular link I just sent in the chat to everyone is a mini lesson from Paths to Literacy on all the type form indicators. Now, on the web, it won't really reproduce with all the type forms in Braille, but it has a really good description of the different dot combinations you need for different type forms, bold, italic, underline, and how to use them in different contexts. This is just one example of many different concepts that Paths to Literacy and other sites cover, but just to emphasize that there are a ton of free and informative resources about Braille about Braille formatting, Braille symbols, all of that you all can use if you're ever feeling a little in doubt about a certain area.
Yeah, it's Christopher. I practice for a shorter time, so like for each subject, I give myself less time to do it because at nationals, like 25 minutes for 20 questions at regionals, 45 minutes for 40 questions at nationals. It's a shorter time. You don't get as long. You get I guess 5 less minutes than you would if it was just like 50 minutes for 40 questions at regionals. So I give myself shorter time to do all the different subjects accordingly.
Are there any things that you've kind of learned that you've done in past years or the last year that you would do differently in the upcoming year? Kind of mistakes you've made that you've learned from, or strategies that you might revise or modify, anything like that?
I don't know. This is definitely a kind of a harder question just to kind of look at, but I think that there's always things that I can improve on from every year, and I think it's always nice to like kind of after regionals, or after regionals, and then when I make finals, also after finals as well, just kind of on the way home, kind of debrief on all of the things that you can kind of feel like you could have done better. So I know that before last year's regional contest, I knew I definitely should have gotten a little more sleep. So I made sure to prioritize sleep when I was at finals last year. So I think it's just things like that. You can kind of like, you can kind of look at after each contest, just kind of evaluate, what could I have done better here? Or, what things shaped how I performed today that I can kind of, what that are in my control for future contests.
Things that I will do differently in future competitions will be working harder, practicing more, and feeling more confident, because confidence is really like the key thing to performing to the Braille Challenge. Of course, you don't want to be too confident, but you also don't want to be like, oh man, I can't do it. I can't do it. Because if you think negatively, it'll actually come true. You're not gonna work. You have to think positively. You don't want to go like, ugh, I can't do it. Ugh, it's impossible. You want to be like, I can do anything if I put my mind to it. Because if you're like, oh, I'm very gloomy, I'm very not good, you will fail. Trust me, it actually works.
This is Maddie again. I think one important thing that I've learned over the years is to be gentler with myself about my Braille Challenge performance. It's okay for a certain strategy to work well for you one year and not work well the next year. a lot of things change year over year. You know, you might change your habits about using Braille. You might, you know, have a change in energy levels, or you might need more time to take care of yourself or less time to take care of yourself. Like, there are so many variables that can affect your performance on any given day. So I just say not being afraid to experiment. You know, if you've been meaning to try maybe putting your Braille paper in a different place when you're competing, you know, try that in your practice session. Don't be afraid. If you're meaning to, you know, speed up or slow down your audio recording during speed and accuracy, try that. I think having the freedom and like letting yourself be okay with practicing and maybe not doing as well, or maybe being less strict about maybe you created one formula for a contest and now that's not working for you. Just being able to know yourself and know your physical and mental needs and how you'll adjust those when you're competing in the future.
This is Brooke. And jumping off of what Maddie said, I totally agree with everything she said. And for me, I kind of am worried about, or like considering and thinking about how much I practice in terms of, am I over practicing? Because I feel like for me personally, I am pretty competitive, so I work really, really hard. But sometimes it can actually be detrimental because I'll get too stressed or I'll get too worried. Last year, I was pretty nervous going into nationals because I was moving up from junior varsity to varsity, so the difficulty level was going to go up. And I think I definitely over practiced. So in the future, I want to focus on making sure I practice enough that I'm getting something out of it, but also not too much that I'm stressing myself out. Because Braille Challenge for me is supposed to be fun, I think.
This is MaKenzie. I would just say, I get like just kind of learn how to quicken my pace a little bit more and just be, you know, a little bit more accurate. I tend to overthink things way too often, and sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's not. And I think it's just important to note, you know, the things that you think you feel confident on versus what you don't. And just to kind of note that it's important to, you know, make sure that you feel confident in what your answers are. Because I've had problems where I haven't necessarily felt super confident and I've always like second guessed myself. And I think that it's important just to make sure that everything that you feel is, you know, what you think and you're not super hard on yourself, like Maddie said.